Hey there YouTube and welcome to Willovision.
Hey there YouTube, welcome to Joe from Seattle.
Today I wanted to talk about one of the most important topics in the gaming landscape, which is gaming on a console versus gaming on a PC.
I really don't think it's that important. I mean, I know the irony of Joe from Seattle saying it's not important to think about these things, but I mean, at the end of the day, is it really that important? I don't feel like the debate's changed all that much. But I haven't made a video about it in a while. So thank you for this. I figure with me making a few, less than traditional type videos for this channel in a row, I might as well kick it old school with you guys a bit. We can just talk about videos like this and just hate ourselves. Also, I'm sorry for the delay in videos. I was at the gym for a week, but I'm back now.
In the long history of video games, the debate between the console versus the PC as the best gaming platform now stretches back decades. With the broadening of the gaming market due in part to the release of runaway console success stories such as that of Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox brands.
It's funny that you say the broadening of the console horizons, then you say Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. The three consoles. You know how many console producers we used to have? It's just interesting to bring up the console's lack of variety as broadening the horizons. It's kind of the opposite of what's happening.
And the centralization of PC gaming under Steam.
Yeah, no. The centralization of PC has nothing to do with Steam. There really isn't any centralizing of PC gaming. People always point at Steam as being like the face of PC gaming, but I always counter that with the same things. Some of the most popular PC games in the world are not on Steam. League of Legends, not on Steam. Valorant, not on Steam. Warzone, not on Steam. World of Warcraft, not on Steam. Fortnite, not on Steam. Minecraft, not on Steam. That's like saying the console marketplace is centralized under, like, Best Buy. Because a lot of people shop at Best Buy. No.
More people are playing games than at any other point in history, and consumer data reveals that this trend will only continue in the years to come. As the base of players grows, the debate between the consoles has only intensified.
Is the console debate really that intense, though? Like, am I the only one that feels like the new consoles kind of just farted out? It really did not seem that hype. Maybe it's because nobody can get their hands on them, but also I just don't feel like people have been caring that hard. Maybe it's because this is the first console generation that I've... Can I get through one fucking video where a motorcycle doesn't go by? Maybe it's because this is the first console generation to start since I've switched to PC. Or maybe it's the obvious circumstances of the world right now that I'm not going to mention by name because I'm still not sure if YouTube demonetizes you for that. Now, why YouTube ever demonetized you for that is questionable, but that's a different topic. I don't know, it just feels like there was a surprising lack of hype around the new consoles this time around. But maybe that's just me.
Many of us have become familiar with or even on the receiving ends of monikers such as Sony Pony or Xbot, these titles being hurled towards the opposing trench lines in the perpetual console wars.
Yeah, and that's really nothing new. I mean, I get called a PC elitist all the time, but then again, I also have a YouTube channel, so I'm happy to lean into that.
But the debate between the console gamers and PC gamers has similarly raged. Before I continue, I want to make a quick disclaimer. This video is part 2 of a 2-part series where I discuss the pros and cons of console gaming and PC gaming.
Look, I don't care if you say the PC gives you head and cereal. If you say stuff that's wrong about the PC, I don't care what things you've said right about it. You're not free from criticism because you said something in the opposite direction a week ago.
Because I want the average consumer to have a better idea of what each platform brings to the table instead of simply hearing one side of the discussion.
And yet, we're going to be dishonest for 10 minutes here.
I still game on both platforms myself, and both of them have their advantages and their disadvantages when compared against each other.
And I play on both too. I know it doesn't seem like it. I still play on my Xbox One. I mean, I moved to a new apartment back in August, and I kind of just now set my consoles back up, so that might tell you something. But yeah, no, I've recently been playing through Jedi Fallen Order on my big TV that I bought off my neighbor for $20. I don't know why that was relevant to the conversation. Sometimes I just feel the need to interject to make it seem like I'm not playing somebody's video in its entirety. Because if I play the video for too long without interrupting, people complain about me using other people's content. But if I interrupt too often, people complain about the video being too long. What I'm saying is I love you.
So think about this question. What makes PC gaming or console gaming better to you? And let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Accessibility, customization, pricing, performance of games.
So let's start with reason number 1 that console gaming is better than PC gaming, and that is that consoles are easier to use.
And right off the bat, you have lost me. I've heard this argument so many times. Oh, consoles are easier to use. PCs are just too hard to use. Look, everybody knows how to work a computer. If you don't know how to work a computer, you won't know how to work a console. Some people who do know how to work computers don't know how to work consoles because it's foreign technology to them. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a learning curve whenever you find new technology. Even if you know technology super well and you get a new phone, like say you ditch your iPhone to get an Android, like a sensible person would. It's going to take you a little bit to get the hang of everything, but there's nothing wrong with that.
As Mikhail Kalashnikov, designer of the AK-47, once said, all that is complex is not useful, and all that is useful is simple.
That's a weird quote to have lying around.
And when it comes to consumer electronics, setting up a video game console is one of the easiest things to do. When my Xbox arrived, I opened it up, plugged the necessary cords into my television, went through the process of accessing my Wi-Fi and logging into my account, downloaded the necessary updates, and used my free subscription Xbox Live. I accomplished all of these things in roughly 2 hours before I was able to begin downloading my first game.
I'm sorry, you plugged in the necessary cables for your Xbox, and that took you 2 hours? And you're about to talk about how consoles are simpler? Like, did you trip a bunch of times? Did you mistake the cables for snakes? Like, how does that take you 2 hours? This wasn't even the angle I was going to take, but how the fuck does plugging something in take you 2 hours?
This is just not the case with the PC.
Actually, when I got my first PC, I plugged the cables into my monitor and to the wall where, the power comes from. That took me like 5 minutes. You're really going to have to explain this one.
Firstly, PC gaming requires the loading of an operating system.
Yeah, so do consoles.
Downloading Steam.
Yeah, consoles need to download games too.
Checking your graphics card and updating the driver.
You don't have to check the graphics card, nor do you need to update the drivers. Drivers are usually optional, and they take like 5 minutes at most when you do choose to update them. You don't have to check on your graphics card once it's already in the PC. Like, what?
So on and so forth, before you can eventually begin to actually play games.
Yeah, so on and so forth. I said 3 things that are wrong, so on and so. You guys get the idea. You can't just leave your arguments up to imagination. What?
Is this process ruinous? No. Is it as bad as pulling teeth? Certainly not. Is it simple? Not compared to the plug-and-play experience of a console.
Oh my god, consoles are not plug-and-play anymore. Like, can we just stop saying this? Let me explain the, quote, plug-and-play nature of the modern console. You plug the console into your TV, plug the console into the wall, download a bunch of updates, download a game, start the game. How is this any different from a PC?
Additionally, if you want to play on a gamepad, many older games don't support that option.
This is another one that I hear a lot of and I don't understand. I've recently been replaying the old Lego games on a gamepad. Those games are from like 2008, 2009, and they've worked with my controller just fine. I also just recently rebought Splinter Cell on Steam, the old ass Splinter Cell games. And I'm going through them with a controller. Yeah, it's not as intuitive as modern controller support, but I mean, neither are old console games. And I know you're not about to talk about old game accessibility on console versus PC.
Requiring you to go and download a third-party program in order to do so.
So you presented a problem and you presented a solution, but it's still in the negative side. Got it. The same old games that you have to download a third-party program for on PC, those same old games most of the time can't even be played on consoles. So we're still in the net positive over here.
Which may or may not work at all. Even if it does work, that gamepad feature is often costly in terms of time and difficult to make work without significant trial and error.
It would be great if you gave examples of these things, but I don't feel like you're going to do that. Let me give you an example. I use the Dolphin emulator quite regularly. I also use Slippy quite regularly to play Melee online. #free Melee, #save smash. In order to get a GameCube controller working on my PC, all I had to do was get the Mayflash adapter, download a driver. I know drivers scare you, but just bear with me. And then there was a little step-by-step thing that I got from Anther's Ladder. Whole process took me about 3 minutes. And now my controller works, and I have no issues with it. And I can use the GameCube controller to play all my GameCube games on the Dolphin emulator. Tell me more about playing GameCube games on the Switch. Do you see the issue here? The PC has backwards compatibility pretty much to the beginning of time with pretty much every console. Yes, you have to download a third-party app sometimes to get that working, but that's still an option we have. You don't have that option because the company told you no. So yes, we have to work slightly harder for slightly more time to make use of this feature that you don't have on the console.
Now compare that to using a controller on your console, which requires virtually no effort.
Actually, I've said this in a previous video, my Xbox One controller just desyncs like every other time I turn the console on now. Like every time I turn on my Xbox One, there's a good chance I have to resync my controller. And when I do that, there's a good chance that it just doesn't work. I don't know why that happens. It's fucking annoying, but I'm living proof that this whole like easy accessibility, easy control, I'm living proof. It's right there in my living room. That's not true. I just pointed to my living room. Like, you can't see me, but this is how much I talk with my hands. Like, I literally pointed to my living room, to my Xbox when I said that. Sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing. Shut up.
You put in your batteries and you press the on button. Very easy.
After you sync the thing. Also, batteries, burning through batteries or rechargeable batteries, I don't mean to nitpick here, but you're nitpicking the PC, so I have to nitpick you back. You're presenting very trivial things on PC, like downloading a third-party app or changing some kind of settings. You're presenting that as a negative, but then you're just glossing over equally trivial things on the console, all because you needed to get this video done and get it over 10 minutes.
And that's where this point ends. A PC is almost always going to be a superior machine.
No, always. Like 100% always. The PC is literally capable of more technical things than a console.
But not always a necessary one. And if you decide to purchase a PC, be prepared for the maintenance and natural issues that you will experience with a complex computing machine. Because they will happen, and when they do, you'll need to know you can take care of them.
I switched to PC in mid-2016. I have had little to no real technical problems with it. Maybe I'm an anomaly. I don't feel like I am. But I switched to PC in mid-2016, and since then I've built, I think, 5 more computers from scratch, both for myself and for friends. And all that was done with really no prior knowledge of PC hardware. I just, watched some Linus Tech Tip videos and read some Tom's Hardware forums. And in the last almost 4 years, I've had no real hardware problems. Like, none. And I'm not saying that nobody has hardware problems. I'm just saying that I haven't had them in almost 4 years. And it's also funny to me that the people who often talk about the rampant technical problems of the PC won't give examples.
Which brings me to my next point. Reason number 2 that console gaming is better than PC gaming is that repairing consoles is easier than repairing a gaming PC.
Are you shitting me?
At least for catastrophic issues.
No. You... Oh my god. Well, I just figured out this video's title. Consoles are not easier to repair than PCs because they're not designed to be repaired really at all. For all of you watching this video who are console gamers or, have owned consoles in the past, which I assume is most everybody who watches my channel, how many times have you had to buy the same console because something broke? For me, I owned, I think, 3 Xbox 360s. I owned 2 Wiis. I owned 2 Xbox Ones. The only console that I've ever owned that I didn't have to buy a second time because it broke or something was actually a PS2. I still have the PS2 that I bought from a friend of mine in high school. But you know why when your console breaks, you have to send it out to the manufacturer? And you know why when something happens with my PC, I can just go get a new part and fix it myself? It's because the PC is meant to be opened. The PC is meant to be fixed. The PC is meant to have pieces swapped in and out. The consoles are mass-produced. They're not designed to be customized like that. In fact, isn't that literally against the warranty of some of these consoles to open them up and mess with the internals? Like, isn't that literally against the TOS or something? The point is, your argument that consoles are easier to fix is just literally not true. Not to sound cynical, but they're kind of designed to be bought multiple times because when they break, they don't want you to fix it. It's the same way with phones and with cars. They don't want you to fix them yourself anymore. They want you to buy a new one. There's a reason why older cars, you can just pop the hood up, fix it yourself. But with newer cars, everything's computerized. If one thing breaks, you have to take it into the... You know what I mean? And with phones, it's the reason why phones don't last so long anymore. They want you to buy multiple versions because they know you will. PCs, I built the fucking thing. I can fix the fucking thing.
Imagine that you're playing your Xbox one day. You're in the midst of an epic showdown with an immensely powerful brute on Halo.
Immensely powerful brute? Are you new to Halo?
Your laser-focused, fast-as-lightning reflexes are your advantage in defeating your terrible foe. Just as you raise your weapon to deliver the mortal strike...
I'm just laughing. He says fast as lightning reflexes as he fails to get out of the way of a hammer chieftain, but it's fine.
Your console turns off. You try to turn it back on to no avail. You do everything you know to do to fix the problem, but you just can't do it. So what do? Simple. With a gaming console, you can call Microsoft and have your console shipped to them for repair services.
Yeah, no, that's not easier. Okay, let me just replay this scenario from the PC perspective. My PC turns off, and it won't turn back on. I open it up, I see what's wrong. In your world, the console turns off, it doesn't turn back on. You have to ship it somewhere. In what realm of what universe on which version of Earth is this easier?
The repair services that console makers provide come straight from the source. You don't need to find a specialist.
Yeah, no, that's bad. That's lack of competition. That's lack of options. The source being the place that you have to go for repairs, that's not a good thing.
Just need to send it to one place 99% of the time.
99%. Okay, so what's the 1%?
And given the market pressures to provide stable, functioning consumer electronics, whatever company made your console will usually do whatever it can to get your product fixed.
I mean, yes, sometimes they'll do their best to get it fixed. Other times, no. They'll just say, go fuck yourself, get a new one.
PC gaming manufacturers are a completely different story.
Yeah, sorry, who is the PC gaming manufacturer? It's a trick question. It's nobody. Nobody makes the PC. That's why this argument doesn't work.
Gaming computers are made by a myriad of companies, the overwhelming majority of whom don't have to operate under the same level of market pressure as Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo because they aren't as well known.
Yeah, and you're also missing the main point here, that when you get a PC, you're not getting a PC from one company, you're mixing and matching pieces from a bunch of companies. And if a piece in my PC breaks, I don't even have to get that exact piece. I can get a different one as long as it's compatible, which most of them are. I mean, I did that I did that like 3 weeks ago. I redid my whole build in preparation for the 30 series that I definitely got. I definitely got a 30 card and I'm not bitter about it. But no, I got new RAM, I got a new CPU, I got a new motherboard, I got a new PSU. Like, I completely redid my build in preparation for the new GPU that I definitely got my hands on. I didn't get a 30 series yet. I'm not upset about it. But these pieces are completely compatible with one another. And then I sold the pieces that I wasn't using anymore to make a bunch of the money back. When your console breaks, everything is made and overlooked by one company. So you send it to them and they tell you what can be done. When something in my PC breaks, it's completely on me to do whatever needs to be done next. You may see that as overbearing. I see that as, oh, it's my PC. I get to choose what happens with it. You fucking console fanboys really need to stop being so scared of options.
A lot of gamers that aren't really familiar with the PC can't really tell you the difference between Nvidia's graphics cards versus AMD.
Well, yeah, if you're not familiar with PC, you can't tell the difference between a company's GPUs. I can say that about anything. If you're not familiar with a field, yeah, obviously you can't describe the nuances in that field. If you don't know anything about guitars, why would I ask you what the difference is between the neck of a Fender and an Ibanez? If you don't listen to punk music, why would I ask you who the best punk drummer is?
With consoles, this information simply isn't as pertinent as it is for PC gamers.
You still haven't said anything about why repairs are easier on consoles. Basically, what you're saying is repairs are easier because you personally don't have to think about what's going on. But you're completely glossing over the fact that that's not a good thing for the consumer. The consumer should know what's going on, the consumer should know how to do these things, and the consumer should have options.
But let's say you have a problem with your gaming rig. If you're smart enough to figure out the issue on your own, congratulations, you savvy computer devil you.
It's really not difficult to know what's going on.
I tip my hat in respect of your computer skills. If not, you're going to have to find a computer repair store, which I have found through personal experience can vary widely in terms of their customer service and ability to actually solve your problem.
Yeah, because you're going to Fry's and Geek Squad. Nothing wrong with Fry's and Geek Squad, but just in general, if we're talking about computer repairs, you're going to have much better success if you just go to a local repair shop, of which there are always some around.
Reason number 3 that console gaming is...
Yeah, and you just skipped right over it. So let's go over the cliff notes of what you just said. If the console has a problem, you can send it to the manufacturer for repairs, and that's easy. If your PC has a problem, you have to take it to a repair shop for repairs, and that's not easy. Aside from that just being a completely wrong statement, I'm just repeating back what you said. You literally said the same thing for PC and console, but one of them is okay and one of them is not. This video is terrible.
Reason number 3 that console gaming is better than PC gaming is that consoles have first-party exclusive games.
Not for long.
If there is any reason on this list that die-hard console gamers should be able to use as solid ammunition in the debate between consoles and the PC, it's that the PC gaming experience, going solely by the games which are released on PC, simply does not offer the fabled lineup that it once held the title for.
And I cannot wait to hear about all the examples you're going to give of games that cannot be run on a PC. I'm actually excited. Place your bets now how many of them will actually be correct versus how many of them are wrong.
Microsoft has Halo and Gears of War.
Both of those are on PC.
Sony has The Last of Us and Uncharted.
Both of those are on PC through PS Now.
Nintendo has Mario and The Legend of Zelda.
Both of those are on PC through emulation.
All of these games have sold millions of copies and are even revered as some of the greatest games ever made.
If you think Gears of War, Last of Us, or Mario Odyssey are some of the best games of all time, you're dumb.
Sure, the PC has been the home of some fantastic series over the years. Crowbar swingers stand at attention. But without first-party developers, the PC gamer doesn't benefit the same way that consoles do in terms of exclusive games.
No, oh my god. The PC benefits more because there are no first-party developers. There are no real first-party PC developers. Because like I said, there's no one company that owns the PC. So the term first-party PC is just kind of a weird phrase. Obviously, there are still PC exclusives, but you know what I'm trying to say. But you're just glossing over all the shitty first-party exclusives on the consoles because it's a captive market. Where's the Order 1886? Where's Rise, Son of Rome? Where's Knack? Knack is good. No, it's not. The PC has far more games. We have access to almost every single console game. We have backwards compatibility to the beginning of time. Well, the beginning of video game time. We have an abundance of exclusives. We have a massive indie marketplace. We have a massive AA marketplace. Like, really, who cares about repetitive first-party console exclusives when they're going to be on the PC about a year later most of the time? At most, when we have all these other games that we can play in the meantime. I don't care about your first-party exclusives on launch day, especially when they run like ass. Yeah, they make nice screenshots, but they run like ass. And I am happy to wait until they don't run like ass.
While Microsoft has been making their games more available to PC consumers, Nintendo and Sony don't appear to have any plans to do so.
Sony had literally been making PC ports of their games for months before you made this video. And also, you don't seem to think emulation is a thing.
And their platforms are the only places you'll be able to play their games.
Literally no.
Sony and Microsoft have been bolstering their respective number of first-party development studios to prepare for the upcoming 9th generation of consoles. Microsoft Game Studios includes names such as Obsidian Entertainment, Ninja Theory Limited, The Coalition, and 343 Industries.
What a shining lineup of developers with great track records. Not you, Obsidian, you're fine.
Sony similarly has an array of talented development teams, including Guerrilla Games, Insomniac Games, and Naughty Dog Studios, under their corporate umbrella.
A much better representation of first-party development. I mean, if you like third-person cinematic action games and nothing else.
All of these studios have a solid track record of making great games.
Great repetitive games that are easily marketed. You see the other point I'm getting at here? Having one company tell the devs what to make all the time leads to kind of repetitive experiences. Leads to not a whole lot of variety on that platform. I'm not saying you can't like these games. I'm not saying you can't like cinematic third-person action games, but when it's one of the only things you're getting, I'm just saying there used to be a lot more variety in Sony's lineup.
In contrast, the list of developers who exclusively focus on PC games is very, very small.
Are you shitting in my mouth right now? Do I even have to get into why this is so wrong? You listed 4 studios for Xbox, 3 studios for PlayStation, and now you're saying the list of studios who develop exclusively for PC is comparatively small to 4 and 3. How did these words leave your mouth?
And even though PC gamers can fairly point to some categories of games that don't come to consoles very often, such as RTS and turn-based strategy games,
both of which have a tremendous list of developers who develop exclusively for PC,
console gamers can equally point to the lack of many of the AAA games mentioned above in regards to the PC.
Yeah, and every single AAA game you listed before is on PC. Every single one of them.
Finally, even the games that do receive PC ports, like some of the sports games that a lot of us are into, don't have as strong of an online community.
Yeah, because not many people are buying sports games on PC. Because on PC, we tend to have better buying standards.
Ooh. Look at the sales of Madden NFL 20 on the Xbox versus its PC port.
That's FIFA 18. Also, VG Charts only tracks physical copies. If you think FIFA 18 only sold 3.1 million copies on the Xbox, that's just incorrect. Did you put any effort into this video? I really don't think you did.
The numbers are simply incomparable.
Yeah, the numbers are incomparable because consoles market themselves to a captive casual audience. The PC markets itself to everybody. It doesn't market itself to any one specific demographic. If you want to play on PC, you can. If you are playing on Xbox, Microsoft wants to curate the games that it releases on the Xbox to a certain demographic that has the widest possible money pool. So yeah, sports games. Yeah, cinematic third-person games. Yeah, over-dramatic first-person shooters. And yes, the more casual games sell more copies on the more casual platforms.
Besides which, PC ports of games often aren't as good as their console counterparts because companies don't want to spend as much time and resources on trying to make a PC as good as its console counterpart because they know that they won't see as much of a return on their investment due to the PC market not being as strong of a place to invest development resources.
In this specific instance, yes. In the specific instance of sports games, yes. I am agreeing with you on this specific instance. And I'm clarifying that because you're trying to take this specific instance and apply it to everywhere, which is wrong.
See the controversy in 2015 over Batman Arkham Knight on PC.
Holy shit, I literally just rebought Arkham Knight during a Steam sale. It's fucking fine now. Stop bringing it up. Videos in 2020 should not be talking about Arkham Knight. If you think the PC has an epidemic of bad ports, but you keep bringing up Arkham Knight, you make yourself sound stupid because there is a 5-year gap between your argument and your example. Either find relevant examples to your argument or don't make the argument.
Even though PC doesn't have the same list of exclusive games as the consoles do.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same list because then they wouldn't be exclusives. That's the definition of exclusive. Thank you.
One thing I've noted people saying about PCs is that they have more games. And while I don't really have any data on hand to refute that point,
yeah, you can't refute it because it's true.
I'd ask you to go look at the game library on Steam right now, and you'll probably see what I see, which is endless pages of arcade games and other games that, while I'm not really going to pass judgment on them because I haven't played them, the games listed in their libraries simply aren't of the same caliber to make up for the experiences offered by the consoles.
Oh my god. I haven't played these games. I'm not going to pass judgment on these games, but also they're not the same caliber as the 7 games I listed that are on PC. I think it was 7. I forget. I don't really care. Like, do you proofread or proof listen or proof watch anything you make?
At least for the average consumer. Reason number 4 that console gaming is better than PC gaming is that multiplayer games on consoles are generally going to be more equalized.
I'm sorry, whenever you say things are equalized, and it's a good thing that they're equalized, I literally don't care what you're talking about. That's a creepy ass way to put things.
When you're playing an online game on a console, everyone uses basically the same equipment, whereas on PC, different monitors, gamepads, keyboards, etc. can be optimized for gaming, which means it's possible for some players to have an advantage over others.
The fact that we have more features and options than you is not our fault. It's the fault of the publishers and the manufacturers who choose not to give you those options because it would be too much work. And they can make more money off you by not giving you options and giving you excuses as to why you should give them more money instead. For subscriptions, for replacements, for add-ons. What you're presenting as a problem with the PC is actually a problem with the console. The PC is showing you all these options of like, look at all the things that are possible with gaming hardware. And you're seeing that as, oh no, the console doesn't have that, so it's bad. Like, just stop.
Whereas again, with a console, there's really not going to be much variation for the average person using a controller, other than their inherent skill in the game.
Yeah, God forbid multiplayer games are determined by the skill of the player.
For example, I strongly doubt that many people even own the Xbox Elite controller, but even if they do, I think it's really unlikely for them to be substantially better at a game just because of the controller they're using alone.
Yeah, no, you're wrong. I grew up during, like, the COD Golden Age, when everyone was talking about SCUF controllers. And for those who don't remember SCUF, it literally was just the Xbox Elite controller before the Xbox Elite controller. Like, if you were a competitive console multiplayer shooter player, you had a SCUF. And the SCUF, with the paddles on the back and with the trigger. Oh, what are they called? What are they called? The things that you put on the back of triggers, so it's so you always hit the sweet spot. Trigger stops? Is that what they're called? I forget. But yeah, no, you were literally capable of more things using a SCUF, or I guess an Xbox Elite controller now. You literally are capable of more things with that controller. The skill ceiling is inherently higher when you're using an input device that allows you to do more things. I'll let you do the math as to how that goes over to keyboard and mouse.
And then there's also the issue of specialized monitors here.
You can use a specialized monitor on a console if you really want to.
Which isn't a bad thing on its own, but it is definitely something that can have an influence when aggregated against the other technical factors at play here.
I find it really funny. I'm sorry. I try not to do this all the time, but it's just really funny to me that you're talking about how like controllers and like skill at games. Holy shit, dude. I don't know what game this is that you're playing, but you cannot drive.
And finally, we arrive at reason number 5 that console gaming is better than PC gaming. And this last reason might turn on an argument that's similar to the simplicity discussion in reason number 1.
Seamless optimization is the phrase that he just put on screen there. Now, to be completely fair to this young man, I don't know how old he is. He could be 50 with a young voice, and I just don't know it. But to be completely fair, his video was released before Black Ops Cold War and Cyberpunk came out. But his video came out after the Avengers and Fallout 76 and pretty much every Call of Duty game before Black Ops Cold War and Days Gone and the Master Chief Collection and all these games that ran like complete dookie on the consoles. Seamless optimization. Sure. Yep.
But in a word, the final reason that console gaming is better than PC gaming all comes down to optimization. When you buy a console, you're also buying a certain guarantee that you're going to be able to put a console under your television, plug it in, and it will simply work without any major issues popping up.
Oh, you're buying a guarantee of the game working. That's interesting. You're buying a guarantee. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. Whatever you say.
There's no need to evaluate a console's graphics card to make sure it's up to date.
Being able to evaluate your graphics card is a feature that you don't have. It's not a negative.
You don't need to worry about whether or not other players will have an advantage playing against you online with a mouse and keyboard.
I literally don't care what hardware people are playing on when I play an online game with them. I just care about whether or not I can play better than them. And I can, because I'm an elite gamer.
Well, you didn't have to at one point.
Hang on. Wait. You were just talking about how console games have such great optimization. Then you show these screenshots about crossplay, and you imply crossplay is a bad thing, which is a different topic in itself. Master Chief Collection, Gears 5, and Warzone run like ass on consoles. Master Chief Collection literally didn't even work. And Warzone, after the Season 1 update, doesn't Warzone not work anymore now either on a lot of hardware? And Gears 5 worked, it just ran like shit. How are you presenting these things with no self-awareness? You're talking about optimization and how consoles are better optimized, and you give 3 examples of games that are so hilariously poorly optimized on console, one of which literally didn't even work.
And generally speaking, the experience of gaming on a console is that of overall ease and simplicity. With a console, a night of Netflix doesn't require a special setup or the breaking of social norms.
A night of Netflix doesn't require... If I want to watch Netflix, I'll just open my laptop.
Pew Research recently reported that the overwhelming majority of young people have access to or own a video game console. And the fact that gaming consoles are so widely used is a sign of their ability to be seamlessly used by so many people.
Again, showing this stat that you say is evidence that consoles are so widely used. It's talking about consoles, PCs, and phones. Yeah, of course the percentage is high. You don't get to just pick and choose what you wanted out of a 3-part stat.
Without having to perform a ton of research on any exact product with certain specs for a certain budget or a monitor setup, so on and so forth.
A monitor set? Dude, you do not play on PC. Like, you just don't. You probably have a pre-built you got a few months ago just to say you have one. You are not, I don't believe you're a PC gamer.
As previously mentioned, a console is something that almost anyone can use without resorting to techno jargon or a complicated setup.
And I will say it again as well. Either you're smart enough to work tech or you're not. If you're smart enough to work a console, you can work a PC. That's just the way it is. This is not a matter of, oh, PC is so much harder to use than console. No, it's literally, can you work tech, yes or no?
Consoles are the perfect, seamless technology that work with almost any existing entertainment item that you have in your home.
No. Literally no. Again, backwards compatibility, you just didn't talk about that. Can I put my PS2 games in the PS5? Or the PS4, even? No, I can't. What about my GameCube games? Can I play that on the Switch? Nope. Can I play my original Xbox games on the Xbox Series X? Oh, as long as it's part of this specific list, you can. What about DVDs and Blu-rays? Can I put that in the PS5? Oh, as long as you got the right version of the PS5.
And it's just incredibly hard to beat the convenience of throwing on a game and then switching over to Netflix or Hulu when you have your significant other over.
Yeah, joke's on you. I've watched Netflix and Hulu without my significant other that I definitely have. I'm not alone.
Alright YouTube, so those are my 5 reasons why console gaming is better than PC gaming.
Holy shit. Alright, so that was an interesting one. I don't know how long the video is. I've been recording for 56 minutes and 53 seconds. Oh boy. I just want to close with 2 things that I think are really funny. A month ago, he pinned this comment. But, as of the recording of my video, this is the video description. Forget those PC elitists. You don't get to talk about PC elitists and just say a whole bunch of things that are wrong about the PC and then make a woe is me pinned comment about how your video is getting mixed responses. You said things that are wrong. Take your lumps.